Appreciate y'all jumping on tonight. So you can see on the screen, I've got my phone number for texting and for emailing. So if you got any questions throughout the seminar, just send them to me, or you can send them at the end of the seminar, and I'll be asking Jim questions when we're done with the presentation. Also, if you can put yourself on mute, that way we can all hear Jim and we won't have any distractions while we're going on as well. That would be hugely appreciated. So this is being recorded. So if you know anybody who missed it tonight, you can share with them. They'll be able to look at this on the American Highland Cattle Association website as well when we're all done. So let's go ahead and get started. So tonight's presentation, I'll introduce Jim here in just a little bit, and he'll talk a little bit more about himself, but we're focused on farmers markets tonight, but this is part of an educational series that is coming from the American Highland Cattle Association. And for those of you that may not be members, just a few key benefits of the American Highland Cattle Association. So Jim's a member, and I'm a member, and I see some other members on here as well. So you're already aware of the benefits, and we appreciate your membership. But for anybody new that might be jumping on here or watching this seminar at a later given point in time, you'll see that the American Highland Cattle Association is, we're nationwide here in the United States. We're managed by a board of directors and various committees. The Highland Beef Marketing Committee is one of those committees that is a standing committee of the American Highland Cattle Association. So, and our goal as a committee is to really educate people on the beef aspect of the Highland business and share learnings with each other and have ideas and help each other out when it comes to marketing Highland beef to consumers. We've got the office for ACA that Gina and the staff maintain out in Colorado. The association maintains all the records. For those that didn't know, you know, a few years ago, Highlands were on the listed list for the endangered species when you're looking at those types of things, and we are off all the lists now. So we're not on any of the watch lists, and that really has to do with the amount of registrations which are managed by the American Highland Cattle Association. So keep registering those animals and keep growing those herds. We've got regional associations. So if you're part of the American Highland Cattle, but you haven't joined a regional association, you can look at joining those as well, or you can join multiple of those. And then as members, you all get the bagpipe, which comes out. In fact, the summer edition should be coming out here shortly. If you haven't received yours already in the mail, that will be coming out here. And then you can see some of the other things that that the American Highland Cattle Association helps support here on this list as well. When we get into talking about Highland Beef Marketing Committee specifically, I started to talk about, you know, it's about education. It's about sharing our learnings to help each other out as we're specifically marketing Highland beef. So we're doing that through these educational events, but we also have materials. You can see the materials to the right here on my screen. These were developed about 5 years ago and are free for you to use. We call these the skillet materials. So if you are looking for these materials, they can be customized. You can put your contact information on them. You can just email Gina at the American Highland Cattle Association office, and she can go ahead and get you access to those as well. So again, we've got those materials. If you haven't, you might want to consider looking at joining the Quality Highland Beef program as well, QHB. That's an additional membership to your normal ACA membership, but it gives you the benefits of putting the QHB logo and using that logo as part of your marketing as a farm. We also have some marketing things, including bags, stickers, and flyers that you're able to utilize as a member of QHB as well. And then the Highland Beef Marketing Committee was vital in working hand in hand with the Highland Cattle Foundation to complete the University of Missouri study, which the skillet materials here on your right, they bring out a lot of the information in that study. That study is also available on ACA's website, so you can reference that for yourself in any of your marketing activities that you might do for your individual farm. With that, that's our little introduction to ACA and the Highland Beef Marketing Committee. I'm going to let Jim introduce himself, but Jim has been a member of the Highland Beef Marketing Committee here for about a year now. And Jim hails from us on the East Coast, Maryland. He has got a great depth of knowledge outside of just being a Highland cattle farmer. He's been in the meat industry for a long time. So he understands and has a lot of expertise outside of even the Highland world and brings that to us today as we talk about Highland beef. So with that, Jim, I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit more and kick us off.
Good evening, guys. Just want to let you know that we're just all farmers on here, and we're just talking about Highland cattle. So any questions that you'll have later on, we're going to try to answer. And the information I'm going to give you is coming from somebody that raises Highlands for fun and profit. Okay. Just a little background on myself. I've been in the meat industry for about 50 years. We've done just about everything from starting out as a meat cutter, worked up through training meat cutters, went to buying side. We've done marketing programs throughout the country for some big companies in the Midwest, and just raise cattle also. But one of the things that I wanted to share with you, for the last 15 years, my wife and I own Running W Farms, and we raise the best cattle out there, Highlands. We are a grass-fed beef producer, and we only raise Highlands. So let's talk about how we're going to go to market with this Highland beef that we've raised. Are you going to do direct marketing? Are you going to do wholesale? Maybe a CSA? All those are viable options. But first things you need to think about is what's the legal ramifications of selling beef in your area? Have you checked with your local laws to make sure that you have product that's able to sell in your area? Most all product that is sold by the piece must be USDA inspected. If it's fresh, it must carry the safe handling label on it. And then some cities actually require additional labeling or recommendations too. But you certainly want to check out those things before you jump in on the beef marketing. Okay. And then after you decide you're going to become a beef marketer, you need to know what your story is. Okay. And how you're going to communicate that story to others. Are you going to use social media, Facebook, Instagram, websites, signs, brochures, recipes, and sampling? Those are all ideas that can be used, and we'll talk about some of them individually a little later here. But the most important thing is meet the farmer. If you're going to be selling at farmers markets or from the farm, the customers that you're reaching out want to be able to talk to the farmer, or whoever you have manning the booth should be knowledgeable about the product and willing to be able to jump in there and talk about it. How it's raised, who the processor is, animal health, and are all items that will be asked at these things, and where you're located. A lot of people want to come to the farm to see what you're doing. Farmers market folks are very interested in the quality of the product and where it comes from. Josh, are you on? Trying to move. Hang on. There we go. Let's catch up, Josh. Let's look at some of our displays. Can you come up with a couple of slides? Again, another one. There you go. Okay, here's some of our displays. Again, these are from the farmers market that we do in our local town. And you can see we bring not only product on display, but a lot of other things we to show you. And then if you go to the next one, Josh. here we got some communication to our customers. As you can see, we've listed everything that we carry at the farmer's market on a board here, along with some on the side. We have some signs that showing some Highland quality beef and some other things. We do, Running W does carry pork and lamb alongside Highland beef. So, okay, next slide. Josh. Okay, we list our price sheet at the market, and we readily hand these out to anybody that wants one, along with a trifold brochure that explains about our farm. But we don't try to hide any of our prices. We put them up front. We feel we're honestly pricing our product based on the quality and the product. So we're not scared to show our prices. So and I think, and personally, I think that's important. I think people appreciate that. Okay, if you look at signage, you can click the next one, Josh. Signage should be clear and thoughtful. You want to make sure that it's clear, it's a message that can be read readily, and that make sure it's thoughtful, you know, not offending anything or anybody. We carry specials every week. Our specials are geared towards either the time of the year or a holiday. Certainly this week will be Father's Day. We'll have a special for Father's Day. And actually, we will be partnering with a caterer to do a Father's Day special where we'll be using our ground beef, their salads, their cookies, and together for a quick one package pickup for a cookout. So that's one of the things that we do. Remember, not all people shop from a list. Impulse sales will build your sales. Actually, in my experience, most people, if you can get them to come into your area and you start talking with them, you can sell them something if you know what you're selling and you're enthusiastic about selling. We use freezers and coolers for displays. And Aka has great skillet materials, as Josh mentioned earlier, available also. We are a Highland Beef Quality Program member. We put that on all our packaging. It helps sell product. The Highland Beef Quality Program is very, very similar to Beef Quality Assurance, which we also are, and that's a state and federal program. But this program is very close to that, and I think it has a lot of value. Okay, let's go to the next slide, Josh. Product labeling. We'll talk about our product labeling. I think in the next few slides, you'll actually see some of my labels, but just want to talk about the labeling. Some processors do custom labeling, which is very helpful. Ours does, and we work real close with them to get on the label what we want. You can add another label to product just as long as you check with regulations. Your certified programs have strict directions on label. I'm talking now about your organic, certified grass-fed. Those programs must be approved by the USDA and also the organization that is certifying. So you can make sure you do your due diligence, make sure your labeling is up to speed on that before you create labels. We use vacuum packaging. It shows the product well and ensures products will be kept in home freezers for a good amount of time. Safe handling must be in all USDA fresh meat products. Smoked meats or dog treats or anything like that do not have to have safe handling on, but all fresh meat must have safe handling. Okay. Let's look at the next slide, and it shows one of our labels. This is you can very well tell it's back to ground beef, but you can see I have the Highland quality beef sticker on it. Certainly the bug in the right corner there in the bottom is the USDA establishment number that the processor used. And I elected to go with Running W Farm, home of Highland cattle. That statement doesn't tell you anything other than that's my tagline. It doesn't tell you it's grass fed or anything like that, but it does tell you that you're coming from Running W, and we consider us the home of Highlands. Okay, and that happens to be my market trailer there that we work out of every Saturday. Next slide. And again, this is just some ribeyes with the same information on them that we try to sell every Saturday. Next slide is our smoked meat program. We actually have a few items that's not listed on here, but this gives you an idea of what we're doing with smoked meats. We do hot dogs, beef sticks, couple 3 bolognas, and a jerky. What this does for us is gives us additional items to sell, but also helps us balance our inventory. As you go out throughout the year, you can realize that maybe in the summertime, you're not going to sell a lot of chuck roast and round roast and things. You're going to sell a lot of steaks and ground meat and burgers and those kind of things. But with the smoked meat program, it helps you balance your inventory. You can take those roasts in the summer and put them towards your smoked meats or whatever. And it also helps you with call cows. If you're into growing Highlands for any amount of time, sooner or later, you're going to have some cows or some animals that you need to get rid of, and you don't want to just send them to the auction somewhere. We can put those type of items, those kind of animals, excuse me, into smoked meats and be very profitable doing it. A lot more than you would get them and took them to an auction. Okay, let's talk about some value added items. On the next slide, Josh. Value added items. Let's talk. We sell. We might like to sell the whole animal. We'll sell the organs, all the organs. They come the horns, the skull, the hide, and bones. And how do you sell all those organs? Well, we couldn't sell a lot of liver, and we had trouble moving tongues and hearts. So what we decided we'd do is we make dog treats out of it. We dehydrate all our liver, tongues, and hearts in just we have a very good sized dehydrator that we bought. It actually comes from Cabela's, but it's the biggest one they have. And we sell all that product, and we get $20 a pound for dog treats. So it's well worth our time. Bone broth. We have farmers out there selling bone broth. We don't do bone broth ourselves because you have to have a certified kitchen. We are working with a certified kitchen on some items, but at this time we are not doing bone broth. But I know some folks that are doing Pittsburgher outside of Pittsburgher beef up there. They do a great job with bone broth and have a hard time keeping up with it. Again, we talked about our processed meats, jerky, hot dogs, and snack sticks. And then we try to keep some Highland clothing, pictures, toys, and farm items around at the farmer's market just for people that are interested, maybe taking a little something home for the kids or whatever that way. We have some additional items that we are working on with a certified kitchen. He's a caterer and does some things at the market with us. By having a certified kitchen, he can actually sample at the market. If you don't own a certified kitchen, you cannot sample at our market. A lot of markets are much different. They let you sample. In the markets that can sample, the farmers tell me anything they sample, they'll sell a lot of. So if that's a possibility once you get into it or into it now, sampling is a great way to sell product. We are looking at a couple new items, maybe in the future, a barbecue sauce, and then also some ready to heat items like pulled pork and sloppy Joe. Okay, let's go to the next slide, Josh. Transportation and displays. You got to make sure that you're transporting and displaying product outside of the danger zone. You know, if you don't know what the danger zone is, the danger zone is 41 degrees to 141 degrees. And what that means is you must keep product under 40 degrees or above 141 to keep bacteria from growing. Certainly, if you're keeping it frozen, you've got to go much lower than 40. But certainly, even if you're displaying a fresh product, it must stay under 40 degrees to be safe. So whatever you're using for displays, if it's coolers or freezers or actual freezer coolers or whatever, make sure you have a power source that's capable of taking care of that. We use a generator on site that powers our display cooler. Now the freezers that we have in the trailer are chest freezers. We do not power them at the market. They will hold their frozen product very well for 6 to 8 hours. So we don't have to do that. But yet when we come home, our trailer is set up that we can plug the trailer itself in and everything fires up at one time, which makes it handy. So we don't have to unload when we get home. When we first started out, we used coolers. That worked for us, but you couldn't take near as much product with you to the market. So how much product are you going to take to the market? Well, in our case, I have as much as I get in the trailer. If I don't have it with me, I can't sell it that day. If I have it with me, I have a good shot at trying to sell it. So that's our theory is if we got it, taking it with us. So we also talk about, we take orders for farm pickups and delivery. We do have a website that is a purchasing website. You can purchase product on our website for either farm pickup or we'll bring it to the farmer's market for you to pick up there. That's been helpful. During when COVID started from the beginning, when the COVID hit and the shortages were showing up in the stores, our website took off big time. And we wound up to the point that we had to limit what inventory we were putting on the website because we didn't have anything to sell at the farm or at the farmer's market. Okay. Also, if you're at a farmer's market and you're interested in starting a CSA or have a CSA, it's a great place to talk about it. But there again, it's meet the farmer. Make sure there's somebody there to be able to explain what you do and how you go to market with it. And then if you sell quarters or halves, again, the farmer's market is a good place to talk about that. Next slide. We'll talk about financial at the markets. When you go and start into this farmer's market, it's very important to figure out a credit card source for your market, either like the Square, the Go Clover, or Cedro from your bank. About 65% or more some weeks of our business is done on credit card. I don't know how you could do a farmer's market anymore and do all cash because nobody seems to have any cash in the pocket, but they all have a fleet of credit cards in there. So make sure you are ready to take them. Cash, we do take cash. And then how much do you need to take? We start out with $250 till. It depends on how you're pricing, how much change you're going to need. We do try to round up a lot of our items so that we're on even dollars or smoked meats and those type things that are not random weight. They're certainly by the dollar. EBT, SNAP, all those, and a market supported program. Those are all important in certain areas depending on what kind of market you're in. The only one that we participate in our market is a market supported program by the state. And that's where individuals that are signed up can get matching funds. You get a wooden coin that you can bring to us and then we get reimbursed for. How much does it cost to participate? That varies from around the country, I'm sure. Locally here, we are a year-round market. So we have a spot year-round, and we get the same spot year-round. It figures out to about $10 a week for our spot. And I know that seems low in some areas, because I've heard people say it's a lot more in other areas. But we participate all year round. That means 53 markets a year, because we have an extra market prior to Thanksgiving, a Wednesday market, and then every Saturday year round after that. Help at the market. This all depends on how busy you're going to be, but you want to make sure you have enough help that you can talk to folks and spend some time with them, and not have other folks waiting in lines for you. We do, who's going to do the weighing? Some folks don't weigh product until it's, actual sales made. We weigh everything prior to bringing it, putting it into the trailer. Our stuff's all weighed there. And then another option on weighing is a lot of your processors will weigh for you. That takes all the liability out of the weighing back to the processor. But one thing it does, it's harder to run sales and change your prices and things like that on current inventory that you have in hand. So we elected to weigh ourselves. We use certified scales that are checked by the state, and to make sure that we are up to snuff on that. And then again, if you have somebody, if you do have a big credit card business, it's good to have somebody that just will take care of the credit cards or make change to make sure. Okay. And then I added sampling to the end there. We talked a little bit about that earlier. Sampling in our instances where you're not allowed to sample without a certified kitchen. We have a couple other vendors that don't have certified kitchen. One is a wine producer, and he has a certified kitchen. He buys, we actually supply him with product. He cooks it prior to and does some sampling and pairs it with different wines. We also have the caterer that comes. He does breakfast sandwiches and lunch sandwiches and uses our product in both of those. Okay. All right, let's go to resources. The next one, Josh. Resources. Certainly resources are out there for whatever questions you might have or whatever information you might need. And certainly I listed a couple things that I think are very important. Beef Marketing Committee. I'm very impressed with the folks that we have on our committee. They're very dedicated to not only ACA and Highland cattle, but they're dedicated to helping other people. So I would certainly want to reach out to them. And then one of the things that we started as a Beef Marketing Committee is to create a list of farmers that sell beef. This is not just farmers markets, but maybe sell off farm, quarters and halves or whatever. But that was printed in the bagpipes, and it's listed on ACA's site. So you can look in there. I think it has their telephone numbers and emails. And these folks have all agreed to step up and be mentors to anybody that might want to sell beef. And then on the local thing is your local farmers market manager is going to have a lot of insight into what goes on in their market and in that area. And they're a good source also. Then it's the competition. And I'm a great believer of this. I've been doing this for 50 years. I'll steal an idea, but then I'll share an idea. And that's what we're doing tonight, sharing ideas. But I will steal an idea from you. If you've got one that I think it's good, I'm going to try it. So put your best ideas out there and let me look at them, and I'll steal some of them. Also, your county and state ag extension office is a great source for ideas on farmers markets. Okay. I guess we're up to questions there, Josh.
All right, good. So if you've got questions, then you can go ahead, and I'll go back to the slide that has the phone number on it. All right, sorry, jumping around, but you can go ahead and text those questions to me, or you can go ahead and email those questions. We want to make sure we get as many of your questions answered as we can. So Jim did a great job of trying to do a high level overview. And we appreciate that, Jim. But we know that it probably triggers some questions as you're getting started. And going through the list here, I know there's some other folks on here that also participate in farmers markets as well. And I'm sure you're trying to figure out which of Jim's ideas to steal, like he said, but perhaps you've got some questions for him. And I see some new folks here too, looking to explore it as well. So I've got a couple questions that have been texted in already, Jim. So
Okay.
we'll start those. One of them, I think it was on the picture of your ribeye. It had a code on it, like a product ID. What is that?
That product code is the processor's code for that product. They assign that code in their plant, and that's probably a lookup for them when they go to look up to print my label.
Okay. So then that kind of leads up to the follow-up. Do you have SKUs or barcodes that you use on your products?
No, we currently do not.
And when you talked about the weights and weighing in products and in your state where you're selling, you're getting certified scales. How difficult was it to get a certified scale or to get a scale certified?
It's not difficult in the state of Maryland. You purchase a scale, then you contact, and you do it online. You contact the state and tell them what you're doing, and then they will contact you and set up a meeting. They come out and test your scale, and then they certify it and then tag it, and that tag is good for 1 year. And then they come back each year. They come on site and certify your scale, but it's $75 in practice.
Sure. Here's another question. How do you finish your beef and promote the benefits of Highland beef?
Okay, we feed our beef and grass finish it. We shoot for 26 to 28 months. We're shooting for about a 500 to 550 pound hanging weight carcass. And then we talk about the benefits of it. We use everything we can, all the information from certainly the studies, our personal preferences. We actually have some folks that have shared their thoughts with us. We share them to others. And one of the biggest things, if you'll buy it, we'll guarantee it 100%. If you don't think it's right, bring it back and we'll give you your money
Are
back.
you, we mentioned at the beginning of this, the skillet materials and so forth. Do you have your own, and you have your own brochures or things that you're using at the market?
We do. We have a brochure that was created by a local company here that we use. We do have the beef Highland beef quality logo in that thing. We haven't used the skillet pictures for ourselves, but we certainly I have downloaded and we just have not actually printed them. One of the things that we just got from ACA lately was a Highland beef cuts. It shows a picture of a steer with the cuts. It's a very, I think that's going to be a very good tool for somebody to show where brisket comes from, where the rounds are, the different cuts in the thing. So that's new for us. We're excited about using that at the market.
Sure. That kind of goes with another question here that was texted in, and keep texting and emailing your questions. You guys are doing great. It kind of goes with another question here a couple minutes ago, but the question is, when you're talking about Highland beef and trying to differentiate it, are you using pictures of cattle from your farm, or do you have skulls? What are you doing? Because I think the question is because the animals are so different, right?
Yeah.
So how do you leverage and make that part of your story?
Yeah, we have pictures of cows, calves, pairs. We actually have pictures of our bulls that we have at the market on our tables. We do have, of course, we have skulls and horns and things like that too. But We talk about, a lot of the attributes of Highlands, why Highlands don't have a lot of back fat because they are double coated and those things. And that's where, again, if you need to be knowledgeable what you're selling, and willing to discuss that with your customers, because that makes the biggest difference. When they walk away from our booth, they know more about Highlands than they did when they stepped up there.
Sure. So here's another question for you. The question is, what do you do if you're still fairly small and run out of product just as you're getting regular customers? How do you keep folks interested until you get more beef?
That's something we started out with and had a problem with that. We will, for a long time, and I mean, even now, we'll run out of steaks. We just plain, we will sell more steaks than we can produce. And what we do is we try to explain that there's, take a flank steak. There's only 2 flank steaks in every steer. You're not going to have enough flank steaks for everybody if somebody in your area breaks out with a flank steak recipe. It's just not going to happen. But and that goes back to explain to folks how much beef is available, and then, ask if they'd like to be put on a list to get it. We'll take an order. The next processing, they can pick it up at the farm, or we'll bring it to the next farmer's market. But it is building demand is one thing, and producing to meet that demand is also. So it's a balance. You're not going to have enough product during that process to satisfy everybody. If you did, you'd have more than you could handle. So you're going to have to, you try to balance, if it's a farmer's market, you either go to, if you think you have enough product to go to several farmers markets, that's great. But if you don't, pair it back to one market, or work from out of your farm until you get enough beef produced to be able to satisfy. You can put off customers a few weeks on product. You can't put them off 6 months. I know folks that sell quarters and halves, and they say we have quarters and halves in certain months of the year. They don't have them every month, or every week. You just have to be able to balance what you're producing against your sales, and be able to communicate that to your customers.
So kind of a follow-up question related to that here is, so when do you calve, and how do you balance out when you're having steers and cows to have product year round?
Okay. When we first started, as the first several years, up to about 3 years ago, we calved all year long. We actually spread our cows out, and we calved, we had calves every month. And that the idea was that it was going to be able to, we'd have a steady product coming along. What we ran into, like most beef cattle producers, there's certain times of the year are very tough. Here on the East Coast, we have very humid, wet springs. That's not a great time for us to have calves. Yet that's in most cross country, a lot of people that want to have spring calves. We do mostly fall calving now. But with the amount of calves that we have, and we also purchased steers as weanlings at 6 to 7 month old from a couple other farmers in Pennsylvania. And with that, we can have enough cattle that we can have cattle all year long. And we're processing about 30 head a year. Next year, we're geared up to do about 40 head based on what we've done. So with that, you can, not every calf's going to grow at the same rate. You're going to have some, heavier calves. You're going to have some lighter calves that take a little bit longer, but you can balance it out.
Sure. Here's a question going back to your value-added cuts. The question is asking, does your processor do the value-added cuts like meat sticks for you, or do you have to go elsewhere? And follow up to that, is it their recipes or yours?
Okay. The recipes are theirs. certainly when we get to the market, we claim it as ours. Again, we steal it and use it now. But our fresh meat processor does not do our smoke. We have a secondary processor that does our smoked meats. He has been doing smoked meats for a long, long time. He's known for it in the area that he's in, and he was very willing to package the product for us and for us to sell it and promote it under our own label. But it is his recipe.
And so how do you get that meat from processor A to processor B?
Okay, we transport that in coolers. We do have enough coolers that we can put that in and take it from one to the other. And if we have a lot of meat that needs to go at one time, we can also take our trailer and put the product in our freezers and transport it that way.
Sure, but is that smoked butcher taking it fresh? You're bringing all fresh product to them?
No, I'd take frozen product.
You take
Okay.
frozen product.
Take
Okay.
frozen trim to it. And that's where, like what I said about balancing my my cuts during the time of year. If I'm hung up with, or got a lot of extra roast, I will have those, instead of having them actually made into retail roast, I'll just have that trim from that animal put into the USDA sticker. And then when I take it to the other processor, he has no problem taking that product because it's already USDA inspected.
Okay. Cool. So that leads to another question here coming in. So again, you can send your questions, text or emails. If you got some more questions, we still have plenty of time here with Jim. Do you have on-farm storage outside of the freezers in your trailer? And do you have regulations in your area about on-farm storage?
Okay, we do have a walk-in freezer that's in one of our barns. We are inspected with that. In the state of Maryland, we have what we call, it's called a mobile producer's license. And that, mobile farm producer's license. What that says is that we can store product on our location and we can haul it to farmers markets and sell it. And we can also sell to other retail operations. That freezer is in our facility, that where the freezer is, and how we the cleanliness around the freezer and whatever work areas that we have are inspected once a year. And I'm sure throughout the country, there's going to be different regulations on that and, requirements.
Sure. Here's another question about the cattle you're raising, Jim. The question is, are your cattle registered or a combination of registered and unregistered for processing?
They are certainly a combination. We have registered stock that we've have acquired and through the years, and we keep that line going. But we do have a lot of cattle that are not registered. Most of them come. Actually, most of the unregistered cattle were homebreds that when we started out, we bought some registered cattle. And at that time, when I decided I was going to go beef, we didn't register everything. I feel now it's probably a mistake, but we got that. We lived in it. We got a lot of good cows. But all our stock on the farm can be traced back to registered stock. And then the steers that we buy come from seed stock producers that are all registered. So like every steer that we bring in here, if was kept as a bull calf, could be registered, but they are not registered because they are steers.
Sure. So this summer issue of the bagpipe is all focused on bulls and bull selection. And we've
Yep.
talked about this at the Highland Beef Marketing Committee as well. So obviously, as beef producers, we've got our own kind of set of thought process on producing beef. What's your thoughts, Jim, on when you look to introduce new genetics, specifically on the bull side of the business?
Sure. And that's important to me. What we do is, with a situation like ours, we have to look for a new bull every 3 to 4 years, because we keep heifers, daughters as heifers, and then in the cows. So about every 3 to 4 years, we go out and we try to buy the best bull that we can find, that fits in our structure of profitability too. We can't buy a $10,000 bull, but we can buy a bull that it might be a little lesser, but we're going to look for a bull that's going to produce beef. And when I say a bull to produce beef, I'm looking for a long, lengthy bull with strong center meat availability. Because when you look for a bull and you to raise beef, you want to create more steaks. That's where you're going to make your money. Your ribeye area's got to be a good size. Your loin section's got to be filled out good, and you want some length in that center, because that's where your profitability is in beef. If he's not the best looking bull, if he's producing good calves, if I buy a mature bull, he's producing a lot of good calves, that's good. I'm not looking for a show bull. I'm looking for a beef maker.
Absolutely. And on the female side of it, you're keeping a lot of replacements from your own fold, it sounds like.
Yep.
Can you kind of explain the logic behind that versus going out and buying different ones?
Well, certainly economics of it is, if you can raise good heifers on your own, it's going to be, it's going to be cheaper than going out and buying heifers. But we're looking for, if we got a line of cows that have good feet and good udders, and we're buying a good bull and putting with them, we're going to wind up with good heifer calves, and we're going to wind up with good steers too. And that's the thing, if you got cows that don't have good udders, don't have good feet, they need to go. That's where your calls go, makes more hot dogs. But yeah.
There's another question, kind of related to what we're just talking about. Do you feel the Highland market has well-developed outlets for the seed stock growers, for those who are marketing Highland beef as a business? Let's see, just said about buying. So you talked about buying the 7 and 8 month old calves. Is there a good market for that? Can you find those? Can seed stock producers sell cattle to help other farms basically produce those calves for beef people? Meaning, is there enough people buying on Highland beef like you are to finish them out, that someone should raise Highlands and sell them to somebody like you?
I think there is. I deal with a couple farms because I know them, but I know there's some folks. I think there's some folks probably on the beef marketing committee that are looking for steers all the time, and they're looking for steers that are going to fatten and be and raise out to be good beef. I think there is, and I think this is a personal opinion, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but there's a lot of bulls out there that should have been steers, and we should be eating them instead of breeding them. But that's a personal opinion, and I guess I share that because I think we are in that arena sometimes.
Sure. Well, and I would say the other component of what you just said, Jim, because a lot of those bulls maybe should have been castrated and raised as steers or ground up in a program, they are actually in some cases more valuable in meat than they are as a bull, based off of what some of those go for. So
Yeah.
Here's another question. I think you addressed it earlier, but the question was, have you ever tried doing any crosses, or have you always stayed just pure Highland?
We did do a few crosses, and this is the reason behind not pursuing it. And I know a lot of folks have done cross breeds and been very successful. But my story is I'm selling Highland beef. I'm trying to differentiate myself from all the other people in my marketplace. When you look at Maryland, there's not a lot of Highland growers in Maryland, especially on the Eastern Shore. There's very few. We can go to market and we can sell Highlands, and that's our story. We got a good quality product that we can sell. I don't go up against anybody that's selling Angus in our area or anybody that's selling Herefords in there with quality product based on its Highland. Okay, I could certainly bring either one of those breeds or Shorthorns or any of those other breeds in and probably create beef faster, but I would lose my story. What I'm specifically selling is Highland beef. That's my point of difference from all the other beef producers in our area right now. Now, if somebody else moves in down the road here and starts selling Highland beef, I'll come up with a different angle.
Sure. Or partner with them.
Or partner. Yeah.
Right. So, and I think on that, and Angie, thanks for messaging the group too. She mentioned that they've been selling off steers to other beef producers right now as they're working to build their herd up to do more of what you're doing, Jim, and marketing. And I think, and you touched on it earlier, Jim, but just to reiterate, what it was published in the last Bagpipe, there was a list of Highland farms and people who are willing to talk to anybody about marketing beef and so forth, because we recognize as a Highland association that we all need to sell beef at some point, right? They are a beef breed. And whether it's doing it yourself, like what Jim does, or what we do here at our farm at Windland Flats, or partnering with other people to do it, there certainly are a lot of opportunities to promote Highland beef here in the United States today. And I think that's growing as the breed becomes more popular, not just because of their cuteness, but as we look to eat healthier beef as a society, as we look to people who are looking for local sustainability, all of those types of things, the Highland beef certainly fits all of those categories as well. How many years have you been doing the farmers market now, Jim?
We've been doing the farmers market about 6 years now. We've been raising Highlands about almost 15. But it took us a while to get enough product. We started out with 6 animals, 3 cow-calf bears. That's how we started out. And we started growing it small. And then as things got a little bit bigger, I decided that this is the path we wanted to take. I mean, we started buying more cattle and keeping all our heifers and build it up as we went. So
sure. So looking back now, if you could talk to Jim 6 years ago, or any new producer that's on this presentation, or that'll watch it here in the future because it's recorded and we'll be putting it on the ACA website, what piece of advice would you give, or what's the thing you would have wish you would have known 6 years ago that you would tell somebody now?
I guess one of the things is to commit. You got, if you're going to be in a farmer's market, you got to be committed to it. That means you need to be there every market. Unless you have an emergency or something, you need to be there every market. Because if you're not there, the next week you'll have your regular customers just calling you out. They want you to be there every week. So you need to be there. Now, personally, I might not be there every week, but either if I'm not there, my wife or one of our help and my wife are there, and we try to make sure one of us are there every week. And that's important. So that would be the first thing is, if you're going to do farmers markets, you need to be committed to it. And it takes a lot of time. I mean, it's whatever day you go to the farmer's market, it's going to eat up most all that day, even if it's just a 4-hour market. Time you get ready, you go, you come home, count your money and make your deposit and those type of things, which is all the good parts of it.
Absolutely. And from the first year to the 6th year, how how would you compare your average transaction, and like, without giving us exact numbers, but like, how much growth have you seen in 6 years in dollar wise of what you're actually gaining from the market?
Yeah. It's gained tremendously from, from when we started to now. Again, now we do sell pork and lamb at the market also. So those sales are added into it. But I think we make a good, have a good Saturday when we go to the market. It's, and I wouldn't be, I don't want to talk about it directly on here, but if anybody, my number's on listed on here, if somebody wants to call me directly, I'll actually share numbers with them individually.
Sure. We'll throw Jim's contact information back up here. I think, did you have it at the,
Should be in there somewhere.
well, there was, this is the slide that actually has Jim's prices.
There you go. There's my pricing here.
There's
And
Jim's prices.
It has my, up in the upper left-hand corner,
There's your
that is
email.
my cell phone number. Call me.
Yep. And Jim's email is up there in the right too. So, and anybody who's starting off, no one's asked this question yet. And usually someone does, is how do I know where to price, right? So Jim, how do you know where to price?
Okay, that's a great question, and things. I guess I had the experience of from my past setting pricing on cattle for grocery stores and a lot of marketing programs and things. So I had a lot of insight into that. But I think if you're starting out and you're not sure, the biggest thing to look at is your competition. Not only, don't look at grocery stores as much, but if you're on this call, you're on the internet. So there's a lot of folks out there that are selling beef and things on the internet. Start that way. And then you got to look at what your percentages of within the cuts. Okay. You got to price your product that it all moves, so you don't get hung up with a lot of product that you're not selling. But if you look at your competition, there's some of them out there I question that maybe they might not be on the right track, but I certainly look at them. I always think is go out there and find as much information, steal as much from as you can, but be willing to share it too. And that's, what we do. But if anybody has any, problem with, what I price something, whatever, I'm on that list of people you can call as a mentor, and I'd be glad to talk to you.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to our full hour here, Jim. And we had a lot of really great questions. We thank everybody for participating. We thank everybody for their support of supporting and selling Highland beef. That is what our committee, the Highland Beef Marketing Committee, is committed to doing, is continuing to educate, share, and support each other in that mission. So, Jim, thank you very much. Very educational. We appreciate your time tonight. Thank you for everybody for jumping on.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Have a great night.
Have a great night.